All right, Shalom. Call hello, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and the sincere salutations to you, Akim, and Akwath around the four corners of the globe, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. This is your fellow servant, Rakah, from the GMS Orlando camp, and tonight I want to profile this video from Louis Spot. All right, and it's entitled Dr. Francis Kress explains why whites fear black people. All right, and the reason why I want to profile this video is because in this debate there are a lot of things that are said that are true, in a sense. But I wanted to bring the true light onto why Esau Edom, the so-called white man, fears and hates Jacob. All right, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right, and the true reason why Esau fears and hates Jacob is spiritual. All right, it's spiritual. All right, and although they do hate and fear us because we're physically dominant, we're mentally dominant, we're charismatic, we have pigment, and so on and so forth, that physical, mental, and charismatic dominance that we have stems from a spiritual dominance. All right, and that spiritual dominance is what Esau Edom has always hated and been afraid of because he can't obtain it. All right, and that's what's led to the ongoing conflict and tension between the so-called white man and black man, in which clearing that up, what you have to understand is there is no such thing as a white man or a black man. All right, when the Lord created man and women on this earth, he separated them according to nations, not colors. All right, that whole colorism thing came in about 1681 in Virginia as a social construct and as psychological warfare. All right, because when you go into the psychological aspects of those words, white and black, white means pure, holy, undefiled, clean. Black means dirty, void of light, malicious, bad. All right, and that's what's led to the stigmas and the stereotypes that you see put upon so-called Negroes, Latinos, and American Indians today. All right, but nevertheless, when the Lord created man and woman on the earth, he separated them according to nations. All right, and he gave each nation an inheritance and a land. All right, in which we might as well go ahead and get that, because that is also going to fuel into the point of why Esau fears and hates us, because of our inheritance. All right, this is Deuteronomy 32 and verse 8. It says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. All right, and a part of the inheritance that the nation of Israel got was the land Jerusalem. All right, which is the most fertile land on the earth. All right, it's where life springs forth out of. All right, when you go into Galatians, I think it's the 4th chapter and the 26th verse, it says, Jerusalem is the mother of us all. All right, Jerusalem is what they call fertile, man. It's fertile land. It's fruitful. It's full of life. All right, and that was a part of the nation of Israel's inheritance, and another part of our inheritance was the understanding of the source. All right, the understanding of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Let's get that in Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, the 24th chapter. And the point is in verse 8, but I'm going to start at verse 1 just so you know what it's talking about, because it's talking about wisdom. All right, it says, wisdom shall praise herself and shall glory in the midst of her people. In the congregation of the Most High shall she open her mouth and triumph before his power. I came out of the mouth of the Most High and covered the earth as a cloud. I dwelt in high places, and my throne is in a cloudy pillar. I alone compassed the circuit of heaven and walked in the bottom of the deep. In the waves of the sea and in all the earth and in every people and nation I got a possession. With all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I abide? So the Creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, and said, let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel. All right, so the Lord gave us wisdom as a part of our inheritance, which manifested itself through way of the laws, statutes, and commandments. All right, let's get that in Deuteronomy, which set us apart and above all the other nations on this earth, which is why Esau, Edom, and the other nations fear and hate us because we've been set apart by the Heavenly Father. We've been given something. We've been given something that's so much greater. We've been given an inheritance. So like that's so much greater than all the other nations received. Which is why all these other nations, and chiefly the nation of Esau, the nation of Edom, fear and hates us. It says Deuteronomy 4 and verse 5, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great that have God so nigh unto them, as Yahweh our power is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? All right, and this is one of the reasons why the nations fear and hate us, especially Esau, Edom, because we've been given wisdom has been caused to rest within our inheritance, all right, which has set us apart and above all these other nations. All right. So with that being said, before we move on to the video, let's get this here as well in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, because this fear, this enmity, and this hatred dates all the way back into the garden as well. All right, when the Lord told the serpent that he would put enmity between his seed and the woman's seed. All right, this is Genesis 3 verse, start at verse 14. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle. And the Lord wasn't speaking to an actual snake. All right, he was speaking to a man who was cunning and deceitful. All right, just like how you call someone in today's world a snake if they're deceitful and they're cunning. All right, it says, And above every beast of the field, upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life, meaning confusion. It says, And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. All right, and the serpent's seed manifested itself within the nation of Edom. All right, and the woman's seed manifested itself within the nation of Israel. All right, and this enmity got driven even deeper when Esau and Jacob were receiving their blessings from their father Isaac. All right, let's get that in Genesis, the 26th chapter. It's either 26 or the 27th chapter. Nope. There it is. All right, Genesis 27. All right, this is when the enmity between Esau and Jacob, the serpent seed, and the woman's seed got driven even deeper. All right, it says, And he came near and kissed him. 26. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore the Heavenly Father give thee of the dew of the heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and the plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. All right, so Jacob had received a spiritual blessing, all right, which was basically to be a ruler and have dominion over the earth, all right, forever. He received an everlasting blessing. But Esau, on the other hand, received a temporary blessing, all right, a carnal blessing, in which he hated Jacob for. Let me see. Get down to Esau's blessing. Here it is. Verse 30. Let's start at verse 36. He said, And he said, Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright. And behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And through the Spirit, the blessing was always ours to begin with. All right? The blessing was always ours to begin with. The Lord had already predestined Jacob to receive this everlasting blessing from the foundation of the world. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, O my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Esau his father, Isaac his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be of the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. All right, so this is when that enmity between Esau and Jacob, the serpent seed and the woman seed, got driven even deeper. All right, and this is why Esau Edom, this is why the so-called white man fears and hates Jacob. All right, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, because of the blessing wherewith Isaac blessed us. All right, and because he knows that pretty soon his blessing is going to run out. He knows that he only received a temporary blessing through the Spirit. And his blessing has a boundary, has a date set on it. And we're coming up on that boundary. And they can see it. That's why it says in Revelation 12 and 12, they're going to come down with that great wrath. Because they see that they have but a short time. And they fear that. They hate that. That's why the so-called white man hates the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, because of the better inheritance and blessing that we receive through the Spirit, man. They know they are destined to be servants. And then after that, they're destined to be destroyed, pursuing the Obadiah, the first chapter. But let's go ahead and hit this video, because I only got about 7% left on this phone. So without further ado.
Hey, call me Louis. This is my spot.
And we're dying out.
Louis Specs.
All over the place. You're a psychiatrist, and you're author of a theory. Here's what she's saying. First of all, white people are dying out.
And white people, so-called white people, are dying out. They're dying faster than they can be born. And what they're trying to do to quell that, or to overcome that, is put abortion clinics within the neighborhoods of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, so they can try to balance that out.
Into the next century, everybody on Earth may be of color. And we're scared about it. Already we're a minority. Did you know that? I'll guess 25% of us are white, maybe less than that.
Hey, and the so-called white man is a minority. All right, it's been told us for so long that we're the minority, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and that's not the case, because the Lord said we are as of the sand of the sea. All right. Let me see. Hosea 1 and 10, it says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. But the nation of Israel is of the sands of the sea, meaning they can't be numbered or measured. All right, so that means we're not the minority, we're the majority. All right, and Esau Edom knows that, man. But he's been playing all these mind games for so long. He's tricked you into thinking that you're the minority. But he knows he knows he's the minority in all fact, man.
And we're scared about it. Already we're a minority. Did you know that? I'll guess 25% of us are white, maybe less than that. And that's the reason we're racist. We're not only afraid of dying out, but we're also jealous because we have no color. You're laughing. How come we spend so much time in the sun trying to get brown?
And Esau Edom, man, he knows he's cursed, man. He has a curse upon him called leprosy. All right, that's why their skin is the way it is. Going back to the curse of Cain. All right, the mark of Cain, man. These devils have no pigment. marking that they're a vagabond in this earth. Man, these devils, man, they playing out their roles
You're laughing.
To perfection, man.
How come we spend so much time in the sun trying to get brown? Can't make a baby of color. And that's the reason for racism and lynching. And how do you explain? Do you believe we're racist? No, we're not racist.
The Lord is racist. Who you call God is racist.
Yes, we are racist. What is this, an accident that all the cities are becoming blacker and blacker while the outer reaches of major metropolitan whiter and whiter? That's an accident? Oh, come on. When you get on an elevator and you're the only white person on the elevator, how do you feel? What'd she say? What'd she say? Frightened, she said? Oh, she's scared of elevators. Okay, here we go. Francis Cress Welsing, M.D. You are a Washington, D.C. based psychiatrist, and you're author of the Cress, your middle name, we should say, Theory of Color Confrontation and Racism. You call racism white supremacy. To be sure, a provocative and controversial theory on skin color and oppression. Well, I'm ready. So is this mostly but not exclusively white audience. Let them have it, Doctor. Boy, oh boy, you need an escort to get out of your speeches?
No, now, let me just give you a little background. This paper was written approximately in 1969 and presented in 1970. It was written for a group of black psychiatrists.
I'm going to go ahead and skip a little bit of this, man.
To help solve the mental health problems of black people. Why have we seen it for hundreds of years? So I thought about these two things, basically two facts, that even though the white population says that people of color are minorities, that it is the white population that is the minority on the planet.
That's the reality you're saying.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
That in spite of the fact that black people, non-white people have heard over and over again, you're genetically inferior because you are non-white. That in reality, white skin is a genetic recessive status, not as said by Francis Welsing. Meaning
it's called leprosy.
That if
meaning that if you and I were to have a baby, the baby would have color, and you make the contribution and I don't.
That white
so
plus
what,
colored. Well, wait a minute. It's not Francis Welsing that is concerned about the disappearance of white. Ben Wattenberg just wrote a book, The Birth Dearth. There have been multiple articles in the newspaper talking about the decline of Western populations.
Yeah, here's the Washington Post, just to name one. We are a depopulation bomb, the withering of the Western world. Here, incidentally, this was the percentage of the West's population.
And you know what's killing a lot of these Edomites? The very same tactics that they used against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. Crack, heroin, abortion clinics, drugs, opioids. All of that is now being turned against their own heads, pursuing and what did the Lord say in Deuteronomy, the 30th chapter? He said, real quick, this is Deuteronomy 30:7. And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. All right, and the Lord is now starting to turn away the curses from us and put them on our enemies. And they're starting to devour our enemies because they consumed us. These curses consumed and devoured us. They consumed and devoured us, and we've been bearing the brunt of these curses, man. But now our enemies are starting to bear that burden. You know, starting to be turned on them, and they're dying faster than they can be born. They're dying from opioid crises. They're dying from crack, heroin, and so on and so forth. Abortion clinics. The Lord is turning these curses upon these devils, man, and they think it's funny, until it's not, man. You know, and this is just nervous laughter because everybody in this room knows that this is true. They know they're dying faster than they can be born. They know that they're scared of being wiped off this earth. They know, even to this day. You bring up this type of conversation, it's a nervous laugh because they know, man. They know. It's a Jacob over, man. The Lord is starting to take over this earth with Jacob again, man. And pretty soon it's not going to be left any nephews, no sons in this place pursuing the Isaiah the 14th chapter, man. He's going to be out of, this man is going to be out of remembrance. He's going to be like a bad dream.
In 1900, the turn of this century, about 30%. This is where we'll be less than 10% in the year 2075. Here's where we are about today, 15. So we're not having babies.
So whites are not having babies.
Earn your degree faster at Purdue University Global. With over 175 online...
And there is the concern about white genetic annihilation. In other words, I look at, this is Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday holiday. And people will say, well, here's a man who talked about love. Yeah. Why was he killed? And I say that the deeper logic is, what if all black and white people and non-white people and white people love? What would happen to white people? White would disappear. You see, just mix all of the people on the planet up together.
In other words, if race didn't matter, or if color didn't matter, it follows with the jet planes.
No, I'm not saying if it didn't matter. I'm saying that indeed if there was a mingling of all of the people, because
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, fine.
Absence of prejudice.
The ability, no, wait, don't confuse what I'm saying. I'm saying that if we mixed all of the people presently on the planet, stirred them up,
the white freckle-faced people would be gone.
Genetic recessive status would disappear. And that if I did a survey and everybody didn't have to, face anybody, if I said how many people who are white want their children to be white, want their grandchildren to be white, want their great-grandchildren to be white, want their great-great-grandchildren to be white. And I've gone all over the country in England and asked this question. Yeah. Everybody wants the children and the generations to remain white. Yes. If you do, then you have to do something to make sure that that happens. And I say that what the thing is that is done, and particularly in relationship to black non-whites, because we have the greatest genetic potential to cause white genetic annihilation.
Because you're the blackest.
Because we, right.
Most color.
Right. We have this ability to produce melanin pigment. We have more of it than anybody else.
And that's where, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video. But if you want to watch the rest of it, it's entitled Dr. Francis Cress Explains Why Whites Fear Black People. But the true reason why the so-called white man fears Jacob, Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and American Indians is because we've received a better inheritance. We've received a better blessing. And he knows that his blessing is coming to an end. And that means his destruction. That means his slavery. That means his enslavement. That means his remembrance being cut off from this earth. That means he's failed, man. He's been trying to perfect his kingdom since the Greeks. And he still hasn't got it right. And what we're going to get right on the first go-around when Yahushua returns, we're going to receive an everlasting kingdom. We're going to rule forever. Something Esau Edom has been striving for his whole life. But he hasn't been able to achieve it. But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we're going to achieve that when Yahushua returns, man. Lord, one way of that number. But hey, with that being said, those witnesses edifying into elect, Shalom.